What's up, everyone? Thank you for joining me again. It's Monday Night Live. Every show is now Monday and Fridays. I thought about rolling solo on this one, but I asked my boy Rose to come on to kind of talk about this whole Rey Skywalker thing. And if you haven't seen the movie, well, you're probably not going to see it by now. So, but thanks everyone for joining me on a Monday evening. We're going to have a lot of fun here tonight, kind of digesting this. One of the biggest mistakes of episode 9, in my opinion. But I'm joined by Road Trance. What's up, man?
Good evening, Mr. Matrixx. Yeah, if you haven't seen the Rise of Skywalker at this point, I just wouldn't. I'd call Return of the Jedi the ending, and you're good.
Yeah, you're probably not going to even watch the movie if you hadn't seen it at this point, because it's pretty much all going to go downhill. Now, I guess if you didn't want, if you wanted the theater to yourself, this is probably the best time to go see it, I guess, because everybody else is going back to work, back to school. I went back to work today for the first time in a week. Really didn't want to get up either, by the way.
Yeah, I was thinking about that this morning. I was like, oh, John's got that first day of work thing going on. Yikes.
Yeah. And let's see who we got here. Matthew Gaudet, Flopping Has Been, Xman 04228. And Matthew Gaudet says Star Wars is over. The excuses don't matter. There's nowhere for this series to go after 9, except in the far future or the past outside the Skywalker family. The story I'm not interested in. Funny that you should actually mention that, because I didn't do a video on it. Rhodes did. Is that they're at the next movie in 2022 is going to the High Republic, about 400 years in the past, away from the Skywalkers. I mean, but everything is still going to connect. I mean, they're going to make a Star Wars movie and not have it connect to the other movies, unless they're going thousands upon thousands of years in the past. It's going to connect somewhere into the OT, the prequels. They'll start making up stuff to connect to the sequels, I think.
Well, and I didn't even think about this when I made the video. Somebody brought it up in the comments, and it's such a rookie mistake. But if it's 400 years in the past, that very well puts Yoda in all kinds of play.
Yeah, but I heard something on YouTube today, and it kind of messes up Yoda in a way now. I didn't think of this. Yoda, 900 years old, right? He trained Jedi for what, 800 years?
Yeah.
That's a problem with Baby Yoda then. Baby Yoda's already 50 years old. Baby Yoda can barely walk. So if they age relatively slow, Yoda was a Jedi Master at 100 years old, and Baby Yoda is 50 years old. So is he gonna start super aging or something?
I don't know how that's going to work. I think it's a species that's going to look old very early on. I think that's how the species is. Like, in other words, yeah, he's real small, but let's face it, they don't get very tall. They're only about 3 foot tall, maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
So over the next 50 years, maybe he does the majority of his aging, and then he ages real fast and then just stops.
Yeah.
I don't know. It says they age differently. Lord Callus is the best one to ask about the Yoda species.
Yeah. And guys, we got 20 people watching. If you wouldn't mind smashing that thumbs up button, that'll really help us out, get more people in, because we're going to start diving in our main topic when we get a few more people in here. We're not going to try to keep this stream too late. By the way, I'm still without my computer, by the way. It'll be ready tomorrow. They have the adhesive in.
Good
so
grief.
Thank goodness, man. At least I'll have it back in a week. Should have been like a few days. So getting tired of editing videos on Premiere Rush. It's just not the same. You can get a basic video out, but I can't do some of the things I want to do with it. They're very limited. Hammer says Baby Yoda goes through puberty next season. I mean,
I wonder what they're going to do with the timeline there, because they're going to lose something if they all of a sudden have to make that Yoda thing look different.
Yeah,
they're going to lose some marketability there. So I wonder how they're going to tiptoe around that line.
yeah. Well, I think it's still going to be Baby Yoda. I think throughout the entire series, Baby Yoda is still going to be Baby Yoda, because as they start aging him, he's going to start losing the cute factor,
Right.
So I think they kind of have to keep him relatively as a toddler, if you ask me.
Yeah, part of his charm is the way he saunters up like a toddler,
Yeah. Even though he tried to force choke Cara Dune.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah, percent Mando.
I was like, whoa, Baby Yoda's choking the shit out of her ass.
Yeah. No, you're hurting my daddy. No, they're just arm wrestling. That's it. Let's see here. Baby Yoda's got to die. Does he? Not really. He doesn't have to die.
He's got a weird sort of point though. Where the hell is Baby Yoda?
Exactly.
Through all this drama that just happened.
But the fallout if the Mandalorian ends and Baby Yoda's dead. The fallout that'll happen.
Yeah, but it certainly would give the Mandalorian motivation for one hell of a last revenge mission on somebody. Full John Wick 3.
Yeah, true. But nobody wants to see Baby Yoda die. I don't think Baby Yoda's going to die in season 2. I think they're actually going to. I think the show is going to run for, let's say, 4 seasons. I think 4 seasons. They know they got a winner on their hand, and they're not going to end it quickly. It'll get the same amount of seasons as Rebels, I think.
I just hope they do know when to end it. In other words,
yeah,
let's end it before we get to the, Arrow style season 5 or something.
Yeah. Ooh, speaking of, when does Crisis tomorrow?
Yeah. No, next week, I think.
Next week is the finale, right?
14th. Yeah, okay. It's 2 back-to-back.
Oh, yeah, it's back-to-back. Okay, you're right. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Just wanted to make sure because I didn't record it.
Ooh.
Okay, let's kind of jump into the main topic now. I don't know how you guys feel about Rey just taking the Skywalker name. I hated it. I hated the end of the movie. It made no sense to me. Rhodes, I'm pretty sure you didn't like it either.
I loathed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hated it.
Yeah. So guys, if you're in the chat, drop in the chat if you actually like Rey taking a Skywalker name. Just put Y for yes or N for no. And I'll start it off. I'll just put N for no. I didn't like it. I didn't like it one bit. I thought it was absolutely terrible that they did that. So people are starting to put it in now. I said no. Sith Lord Felix, no. Hammer, no. More Awesome Metal says, I hated it. Yeah, I didn't like it either. But Chris Terrio, who was the writer on this movie, gave an explanation as to why they decided to do this. So I'm going to do a quick screen share here and kind of read this article. Okay. Yeah, it's right there. Star Wars Rise of Skywalker final line was decided pretty early on. So one thing, just by skimming this article here, I don't know what he means by pretty early on. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go and read this. And we'll just kind of give our take on this. Screenwriter Chris Terrio has revealed that the final line in Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker was decided pretty early on. The final scene saw Rey, Daisy Ridley, approached by a passerby who asked her her name. Luke and Leia appeared as Force ghosts. She replied, Rey Skywalker. In a new interview with IndieWire, Terrio explained how they came to that final line. Well, pretty early on, we discovered that we wanted her to say that, he said. It was shortly after we had decided that we wanted to really embrace this idea that Rey had had come from the darkest lineage imaginable. But in the course of the movie, Palpatine becomes a Skywalker. That for us felt like the fitting end, because at the end of the trilogy, there's a Skywalker who's essentially being corrupt again, like Anakin was, to become more like Palpatine. And explaining how they wanted the emphasis on good winning over evil, Terrio said, in the end, we thought that the final victory of the light and the final act of self-affirmation for Rey was to declare that despite her blood, she is a Skywalker. At that moment, the Skywalkers truly win the family saga. Chris Terrio, you are dead wrong. Completely dead wrong. The Skywalkers truly win the family saga? No, a Palpatine won the family saga.
Oh, Palpatine won the Skywalker
She
saga.
is Rey Palpatine, not Rey Skywalker. I mean, and then he didn't even really give a good explanation on this. Pretty early on, I wonder what's pretty early on. Was it that Force Awakens time? Because it sure as hell wasn't Last Jedi. It was shortly after we decided that we wanted to really embrace this idea that Rey had come from the darkest lineage imaginable. But in the course of the movie, Palpatine becomes a Skywalker. Well, Luke came from the darkest lineage imaginable. He was Darth Vader's son. Darth Vader, who force choked his wife out. Rose, what are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts is Rey originally was going to be a Solo, and she was going to be the twin of Kylo, is one of the things they talked about very early on. Then they decided to put in an age difference, I guess, because they never truly elaborated on age in episode 7.
Yeah.
And I wondered how much they were going to keep that outline going into, or at least JJ thought they were going to keep it going into episode 8. I think episode 8 changed everything. I think she was going to be a Skywalker or have Skywalker blood. And of course, Rian Johnson made her a nobody, which made them have to do the back bending back around into a Palpatine. Now, for full disclosure, I liked her being a Palpatine. It was one of the scenarios coming out of episode 7 I was rooting for. That or a Kenobi. I wanted it to be something different, but I wanted connective tissue with some family lineage somewhere.
But the problem is, though...
But I didn't want her to end up being a Skywalker at the end of the thing. In other words, be a Palpatine, okay?
Yeah.
If you're going to be a Palpatine. But all of this would have been built on the fact that episode 8 would have been a completely different movie, right?
Yeah.
In her character progression, okay? So if she would have been a Palpatine, they would have built upon that, made that clear during the movie. She could have fought with demons. I still say the best way to have done this whole thing would have been to have her turn to the dark side. But they didn't do it.
She didn't even come close. I mean, even Luke came a little bit close. You know, at the end when he was like mowing down Vader at the end of Jedi, you saw the hate and the anger in his eyes. He came close. He tapped into the dark side. Yep. Rey didn't even come close. Not even close. Like when in The Last Jedi, when Luke says you went straight to the dark, I was like, I wasn't buying that. Not buying that at all.
Unfortunately, I believe this is Disney targeting sort of, and I don't want to throw any present generations under the bus, but targeting sort of the easy way of getting to everything without having to put in the work to get there. Okay. Yeah. And developing characters. And in other words, there's a weird part of me that believes that Disney thinks that the kind of movie making style or the kind of storytelling that we grew up with, where characters had to go through an actual arc, I think they believe that this generation doesn't want to set through that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on a second.
Yeah. And in turn, they took the character down the easy path and thinking it would not bore today's generation, which unfortunately for them, I believe most Star Wars fans are somewhere between the ages of like 29 and 70. So I don't know what to tell them. Disney is making Star Wars like Twilight. Yeah, I agree with that. More metal, more awesome metal says just the classical Disney BS morale. Listen, kids, we can all be Skywalkers if we all want. Yeah, I don't like that philosophy either. Matthew says, I agree, Rhodes. JJ's original plan was obviously Luke as Rey's father. I think it was something like that. Yeah.
Something similar, probably. And my red light went out. It died out. So I had to plug it in to charge.
Huh.
Yeah.
It's got a charge on it? Your light does?
Yeah. It has a rechargeable battery.
Oh.
So that's pretty good. That other light back here, man, those things last many years.
There's also something going on with our culture in general where emphasis has been taken off the importance of family. And I think you see it in society, regular family.
Yeah.
Normal family. Well, I don't want to say normal family, but you know what I mean. The regular family dynamic that we grew up with. And I think Disney tried to play off of that.
Yeah. Yeah. They're trying to force you to accept alternate families, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but the problem is we don't have enough examples of what the classical family unit looks like anymore. And there should be a dynamic to want to show that again to people, or for that to stay in the limelight, that it's okay for the family unit to look the way it did 30 years ago.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, for me, every person should have a mother and a father. And if they have other children, siblings, that's fine. But as a society, we're not emphasizing, mothers and fathers anymore.
We've certainly taken the emphasis off the importance of father. That's for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. What are you guys saying here in the chat? Well, it's just the classical Disney BS morale. Listen, kids, we all can be Skywalkers if we want it all. Don't let anyone tell you you aren't a Skywalker if that's how you feel. Well, you know what? Let me start identifying as a Trump because he is very rich. Where's my money at, Donald? Where's my cut? That's what I'm gonna do.
I identify as a Spielberg. I also want some Jurassic Park money. Okay, I want some
better yet,
Raiders money.
Better yet, I identify as a Gates. John Gates. Bill Gates is my father. Where's my money, man? Because that dude's worth like 100 billion. Where's my money at?
I'm not even going to be greedy. I'm good being a Spielberg. The Close Encounters and Jaws money can just it can just flow in this direction.
Yeah. I really should identify as a Lucas, man. You know, George has 3 adopted kids anyway. I'm I can identify as a Lucas, claim the family fortune, and right the ship on Star Wars. Definitely should be doing that.
Right. Just say, George, I don't need any Star Wars money. I'll ride some of the Indiana Jones royalties. We're good there.
I wish I could take over Star Wars and get everything right. Hammer says Ray identifying as a Skywalker is SJW. Yeah, it really is. But that's what they want to do. They want to make it to where you can be whatever you want to be. You can even steal somebody's identity. Ray is committing identity theft. You know how many years you get in the slammer for that? A long time, kids. Don't do it. Don't commit identity theft.
You know what? Let me ask you a question. Let's say that they'd have done this movie. Anakin comes back. He ends Palpatine again. Somehow Rey comes out of it, but she just keeps the Palpatine name, and they just don't. We know she's a Palpatine, but she doesn't address it at the end of the movie. Okay. What on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you put this movie after that?
So
if they maintained Anakin's arc of ending Palpatine, where would this movie be for you? And if they didn't bring the Rey Skywalker thing in at the end as well.
Okay, so they cut Rey Skywalker out, and they still have Anakin take out Palpatine.
That's right.
Okay. So Anakin is just in that one scene taking out Palpatine, and they cut out the ending scene completely. Where would it rank for me?
I mean, they could have her on Tatooine. That's fine, but she doesn't hit us with the Skywalker moniker at the end.
And to tell you the truth, I still think Force Awakens was a better movie than that. But this movie I would bump this movie up above Last Jedi because it keeps Anakin's legacy intact, and we don't get the whole Rey Skywalker thing. But still, you know, the Force healing and the Reylo stuff still happen. I'll just put it above Last Jedi.
Really? I'd have thought it'd been a significantly better movie. You know, because there's things in the movie that are retconned from The Last Jedi that I had so much anger about that I felt better about, you know?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have dropped TFA. It would have stayed where it was. This movie had all kinds of fallout for me.
Actually, I didn't ask you, where does TFA fall for you now? Because you had it like number 7 all time in your all time movies. Now you dropped it off top 40.
Gone.
Where is it at in your Star Wars ranking?
It's ahead of both of these movies. It's still ahead of Solo.
Okay.
I've still got it ahead of The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. I don't feel like feel like those are very good movies.
So it's right there in the middle.
Yeah. It went from like behind Jedi. Now it's behind Rogue One. It's behind Sith.
Would you have it before your second favorite?
No, it was still 4. It was behind the original trilogy.
And what were your top 6 movies of all time? Period. I know Empire.
Well, the original trilogies.
All 3 of them were in your
in the top 6. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see. I didn't realize that. So, okay, that makes sense now. Okay.
Yeah, and I have The Dark Knight. Empire is 1. The Dark Knight is 2. Raiders is 3. A New Hope is 4. Jedi was 5. What the hell's 6? I'd have to look at my list. And TFA was 7, but it's gone now. It's bombed. So
Matthew, go to Last Jedi is placed behind the holiday special in my head canon. I would take the holiday special too. And we know how bad the holiday special was. Even George Lucas hated the holiday special.
Yeah, The Last Jedi is still 42 spots behind the Phantom Menace for me.
And I like the Phantom Menace. I like it. I like Phantom Menace. I'm not saying it's a great movie, but I like it. I mean, the Darth Maul stuff alone is really, really good. Like the end of the movie is really, really good.
But
And
the entire storyline is better. It
oh
is
yeah,
much, much better than
I mean,
anything Disney's put out. Yeah,
all the
I don't want to confuse anybody there.
don't get me wrong now. Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones have really, really good stories.
Yeah,
Really good
yeah.
stories.
I had some problems with dialogue and some
Yeah, yeah.
screenplay and all that sort of thing in
When
those
when,
two movies.
when you think of the story is really no different than the OT to me. The OT overall has better movies,
Right.
but the stories, Phantom Menace, Palpatine in the shadows, that kind of thing. You get this cool Sith Lord called Darth Maul. That's pretty good,
Yeah.
right there. That's some
Yeah.
good stuff. And the
And some
clones,
and some things that landed with some people that didn't with me. The pod racing,
I
you
thought the
know,
power racing scene was pretty cool.
yeah, I couldn't stand it. Drove me nuts. It bored me.
It was long.
I actually fast forward through it when I watch the Phantom Menace now. I just skip it. I go on past it. But there are elements of clones and the Phantom Menace that I like. There's some different sequences in the movie I like. Obviously, the ending I really like, in
Yeah.
the Phantom Menace. The Geonosis battle scene didn't resonate with me like it did a lot of people. Looked a
Uh-huh.
little too cartoonish in some places for me.
That was the first time we ever saw all the Jedi like fighting. That was something a lot of people I think had been waiting on for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool to see. I mean, 2002 technology, and I think they actually set that they made that. I know that was green screen, but the actual set was real. That was actually a real practical set that they use.
I'm going to tell you what's odd. I actually appreciated both of those movies a lot more when they came out than I do now. And I think there's been an opposite effect for a lot of people. A lot of people early on was like, ugh. And then they started moving up higher in their list as time went on.
See, that's
And
different for me.
And they didn't for me. Like Attack of the Clones, I liked it a ton when I first saw it. I walked out of the theater, was like, whoa, that was awesome,
Yeah.
And then about 5 or 6 years later, after seeing it another, 5, 6, 7 times, I was like, ew, this movie's not holding up so good with me
Well,
over time.
do you think that those two movies in particular, especially Phantom Menace, coming off the OT was just in a pantheon by itself. That's probably. Did you actually expect that those two movies would actually be on those kind of levels?
No, I knew they couldn't. I knew they couldn't for me because my favorite two characters weren't even involved. So no matter what, I wasn't getting, like, even TFA now, all it is it's the ending to my Han arc. That's it.
Yeah.
That'll be my appreciation for TFA, and I'll go on with life because Harrison came back.
Yeah.
But
I'm still shocked he came back for episode 9. I'm shocked.
Yeah, and you know me, I hated it. I hated seeing Harrison back. And
yeah, it didn't make any sense for him to come back.
And I've listened to some of our fellow FM members. A lot of people liked that Han Kylo arc, and I hated it. It was the one thing that worked for a lot of people that I just hated. I was like, leave Harrison out of it. Leave him out of this.
This is a good one right here. You guys should do a top 10 worst scenes in the Disney trilogy. You know what? We can do that right now. We can do that now.
I don't know if I can do 10 without some prep work, but I could do number 1.
The Rey Skywalker thing. I mean, a lot of stuff is probably going to come from this last movie. Rey Skywalker, I hate that. I also hate the way she takes out Palpatine. That sucks. I hate that she used the Jedi mind trick in The Force Awakens. Luke throwing the lightsaber over his shoulder. Luke dying in Last Jedi. That's 5 right there. Rey defeating Kylo Ren. Force Awakens. Hated that. Didn't make any sense. Um, those are the glaring ones right there. That sits right there. So I
One
kind of all the Phasma, man. Phasma was so wasted. Knights of Ren, worthless.
one
Sith.
through 1 through 10, The Last Jedi. There you go.
Oh man, thank you. Canto Bite, terrible. All the Admiral Holdo scenes, all the Rose Tico scenes too. That's 10. What about you?
Well, me and Sith Kryptonian agree about one thing. He says the most damaging scene, or the scene that flipped the entire saga, was early on when the scene between Kylo and Rey in the snow in The Force Awakens. Now, I don't think he ever brought up Luke, but I've said Luke should have been the one that caught the lightsaber in the snow.
And I think that JJ heard that, and that's why he catches that lightsaber in episode 9.
I don't know that I've heard that too, and I'm thinking I don't know if it's that or if it's him throwing the lightsaber over his back.
And see, how did I forget that? Leia Poppins. Wow. That just tells you how many bad scenes they have.
The number one most damaging scene of the sequel to the franchise is Luke
throwing the lightsaber.
No, it's Luke dying. As a franchise as a whole, it's Luke dying.
But man, it's pretty close with him throwing that lightsaber over his shoulder. That's really close.
Because you have a fallout effect.
Well, the thing
so
is,
many people are Luke guys.
I think the reason why I say that him throwing it over his shoulder, because that happened early on in the movie, and that really set just a bad tone for the rest of the movie for him. He was a grumpy old man.
I didn't understand
the whole time.
I was like, I asked my wife, I was like, what is he doing? What did he throw that lightsaber? Yeah. Why?
Yeah. Ooh, Broom Boy too. Oh man, that's another one. That's 12.
Yeah.
Saving the animals instead of the slave humans. Ryan Johnson.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Well, Rose didn't give a damn about those little kids. She just cared about the animals.
Yeah, let's get the animals out. They're a little less help.
You guys stay enslaved. We're gonna let these animals go though.
Them kids will grow out of that and escape.
Yeah.
God, there are a lot of things. Now, see, Star Killer Base blowing up 5 planets, that didn't bother me. I didn't give a shit about that.
It didn't have any emotional attachment, but I wouldn't call it one of the worst scenes. No, I wouldn't call it that.
That didn't bother me. Rose's kiss, absolutely denied.
Oh, her knocking out Finn from sacrificing himself. I hated that.
He had that would have been a great moment if Finn would have sacrificed himself.
But for him to go out in that movie.
Yeah. I mean, at least he come out of this thing alive, I guess.
Yeah. And you knew he wasn't going to die. You knew he wasn't going to die, even though he was ready to die. But man, Ryan Johnson just ruined that moment, though. Oh man, another one. Luke milking the alien. My goodness. That's 13.
Yeah.
There's so many.
I mean, The Last Jedi is just like a running tally of terrible scenes, one right after another. I mean, are there any good scenes in that? The one thing I liked was Chewie flying in on Crate, battling the TIE fighters, but even that sort of got ruined when you realize that Rey shoots 3 TIE fighters with one shot. Yeah. And I'm like, what the F? Can I get any good scenes out of this thing? Rey and Kylo slaying the Praetorian guards. Well, that was an awful fight.
That fight, if you watch it, if you watch it for the first time, visually it looks good. But when you break it down, and you see those guys just like standing around, and I don't know who the fight choreographer was on that. That was really bad.
It was awful. Some martial arts guy.
He did a poor job of choreographing that fight.
There's videos out there that really break that fight scene down, and it is awful. I mean, it's like, yikes. There's things where it's like they're deliberately doing things just so they're standing around so they can get killed. I mean, it's
Yeah.
really bad, you know.
Oh, the force force Skype. I hated that.
I hated the fact that Luke didn't come back in physical form to join the fight. I hated that.
Yeah, I hate that he had one scene in episode 9 and that was it. I mean, no other scene. Luke Skywalker got one scene in the final movie of the Skywalker saga, and he was still on that damn planet.
He still didn't get off the island.
Still, even
His
as a force ghost.
Force Ghost still
Still
on
on.
the island.
I mean, yeah, he was on Tatooine at the end, but he was still on that island. Never showed up again. Ooh, man, the good one. Poe's mama jokes on Hux. Oh man.
Yeah, pretty bad.
That's 14.
Yeah. Bombs dropping in space. Gravity, anybody.
You know what? Bombs dropping in space. That actually seems good compared to what we talked about so far.
I hated it.
I know it doesn't make any sense, but it's not nearly
one failures list.
well, it's not nearly as bad as the your mama jokes and all that.
Oh God.
Ooh. I forgot that too. Hamill lost 50 pounds and got no lightsaber duel or fight scene. And he was a forced projection. And this is nitpicking, but I didn't like Luke's force ghost with that mullet on his head. Looking like he was an 80s rock star with that hair. He just looked weird.
Yeah, when I've watched that while selling the 7 Seas, it didn't bother me as much as when you brought it up, I was like, well, I'm gonna really watch for that. I guess it didn't bother. He did look like he was a lost member of Motley Crue.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. But I liked his scenes in the movie, actually, you know.
And pretty much all the Leia scenes in episode 9, it just didn't fit. So it just wasn't gonna work. They should have just I would have been happy if they just said that Leia passed away in the opening crawl because her scenes did not fit at all. And they still killed her off in the movie. But oh man, her saying Ben and then dying. I hated that. So you can just use the force, say your son's name, and die. Pretty much anybody ODing on the force. Kylo Ren OD'd on the force, doing the giving his life force to Rey. Luke disappearing at the end of the episode 8. Leia episode 9. ODing on the force. I hate it. Force healing. I hate it. All that just rets canon for the other movies.
Well, Disney's going to ruin the Force. They've ruined the Force.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's now a Marvel superpower.
And speaking of, didn't you say something about that new movie that they're going to make them like superheroes or something?
Well, yeah. That was in the context of the leak. So I don't know if that's the leaker's interpretation of what they're going to do there or what. They're going to have some connective. It's going to be 3 separate movies, but they're going to be 3 separate movies that's connected in such a way that, for example, Iron Man would connect to Ant-Man, or Ant-Man would connect to a standalone Hulk movie. So that's the way they're going to connect. Okay.
Yeah. But they're going 400 years in the past. So
yeah,
the only connection really could be Yoda.
Yeah.
And that's about it. We know Yoda's going to look quite different too. So I don't know, man. I wish.
It all depends on who does them. I mean, it all depends on who handles the stories and writes the stories and handles the, you know, I mean, there's got to be somebody besides Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. Grace Randolph believes that, I watched her video yesterday. It's signed, sealed, and delivered that Dave Filoni's going to be the number 2 in Lucasfilm.
Behind Favreau?
Well, behind somebody. She said even if it's not Favreau, she believes Filoni's going to end up being the number 2.
So So Michelle Redwan probably.
I don't know, which is better because Filoni is not. He's not close to number 2 right now.
No. Yeah.
But she believes he's going to be the number 2, or may already be the number 2. The reason he's not number 1, and I've said this before, Filoni doesn't have the administrative side to be the president. That's why he won't get that job.
Yeah, but you can learn that stuff.
I know, but he may not want to learn it now that he's directing live action, et cetera, et cetera. I think he wants to stay on the creative side. I don't know that he wants to have to smooth with the. When you're Lucasfilm president, you gotta be involved in all the Hollywood stuff.
You got to be a Hollywood person.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Filoni doesn't seem like he has that Hollywood personality.
Cowboy Dave Filoni. Yeah. I mean, he's just not.
Doesn't he live like in Texas or somewhere?
Yeah, I think he's got a ranch somewhere here in Texas.
He doesn't seem like he's a Hollywood kind of person.
Yeah, I agree.
Hammer, you're absolutely correct. George Lucas never wanted the Jedi to have superhero powers. And I think they actually are looking at the MCU and all the superhero powers. I don't think you can do that with Star Wars. But that's kind of what they're doing now. I mean, Rey is basically turned into like Scarlet Witch or something now. I don't like that.
I do have to go on record. Scarlet Witch is a pretty good character. I like it.
Yeah. So they're going to have that WandaVision on Disney Plus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once again, they say we don't like female characters, but that's a pretty good female character.
I like her.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to Black Widow and Wonder Woman.
Well, Scarlet Witch is going to have, I read yesterday, she's going to have significant involvement in the new Doctor Strange movie. So I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
The thing is, man, we just don't want bad female characters like Captain Marvel and Rose Tico, Holdo.
It's not even that we don't want bad female. We don't want bad characters.
True.
Bad characters. We don't give a shit if they're male or female. We just don't want characters.
There has been plenty of bad male characters.
Sure.
Plenty.
Yeah. DJ from The Last Jedi is one of them. Yeah.
Ooh. He's pretty horrible, man. He's pretty horrible. Jake Skywalker, too.
Jake Skywalker sucks. Agreed.
Yeah. And we love Mark Hamill in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Not as a politician. But yeah. But there's the new Terminator movie. I cannot stand Danny Ramos in the new Terminator movie. That was a huge weak link of that movie. But the girl that the Grace was a good character though.
Yeah, I liked Grace actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she was a badass. She came across much better in the movie than she did in the trailers.
Yeah. Matthew got a great point right here. The Sith holocron being redubbed a Wayfinder was inconsistent with the lore. Yeah, I don't know why in the world they call a holocron a Wayfinder. If it's going to be a Wayfinder, just make it a Wayfinder. Don't make it a holocron and rechange the name.
I agree. This is another one of those things they did because they were worried about the general audience versus the Star Wars fans. They've got to quit doing that sort of thing. The general audience is smarter than we give them credit for. They'll just follow along. They don't care that thing's called a holocron. We do, but they don't.
I mean, a good example is Terminator Dark Fate, for example. To the general audience that really doesn't care about Terminator, there's a scene where the Arnold T-800, and spoiler alert, there's no more Cyberdyne, and he says that he's Cyberdyne Systems Model 101. And if you haven't seen the movies, you're going to be like, all right, what's that? Doesn't matter. So to change a holocron to a Wayfinder, and then at that, holocrons weren't even Wayfinders. They were like a base of knowledge.
Right.
So it didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it's bad when they can get a a better story out of something like Star Wars Rebels than they can 3 actual movies that made it to the big screen
Yeah.
that they were
And
hoping. And I was thinking about this, and I was going to ask you about it when we got on a live stream.
yeah.
I've got a figure in my head of how much money they cost themselves by not putting the right people in place and by not getting rid of Kathleen Kennedy.
Trust me, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. They should have made their investment back by now. They haven't made their investment back. For one thing, profit wise on the movies, Force Awakens, they made like 900 million profit. Last Jedi, they made about
Probably
400 million,
yeah, 3
three,
to 4.
400 million. This movie, the most expensive one. Now they lost money on Solo, so we got to subtract like 100 million off of that. So let's say they're still like at 1.2 billion.
Yeah, don't
And
forget about the promotional deal they signed that protected them. They did that on purpose.
and I'm talking about just strictly like from movies, and they're not making money on toys anyway. So
Well, this was deals they signed with Burger King, Porsche, and all these places.
yeah, I'm just talking about like strictly profits from selling Star Wars toys and movies. I think they're only about halfway there, I would say, total. I'm probably giving them a little bit because they made money from Rogue One too. Rogue One, they probably made about, I would say, 400 million.
They should
Is
have
that
long since made their initial investment back.
they should have made? I mean, just on this movie alone, they should have made well over $1 billion in profit on this movie alone. So in 2 movies, they should have got like half of their investment back. And this
Yeah.
movie, man, they're only going to make about what you think, 100 million in profit. This movie is super expensive. Probably like 100 million.
1 to 200 million when it should have been more like
Over
3
a
to
billion.
500 million. Yeah, something like
No, it should have been over $1 billion.
But
I mean,
what I was going to say was, if just based on how regular sequels go, The Force Awakens made $2 billion. A competent run-of-the-mill Last Jedi, in other words, it follows the normal training arc, the normal hero's arc. I contended, yes, there would have been drop-off from The Force Awakens.
1.8 billion.
Should have made somewhere right around 1.6 to 1.8. So they cost themselves somewhere between 300 and 500
million.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's repeat showings. That was first movie I never went and saw a second time.
Yeah.
Even the prequels I went and saw multiple times in the theater.
I saw Phantom Menace 6 times in the theater.
And
I was in the Navy for Attack of the Clones, so I didn't get to go see that movie as much.
I saw the Phantom Menace twice, saw Attack of the Clones twice. I think I saw Sith 4 times in the theater.
That's about right for me with Sith.
And this new movie, you should have had a little bit of a bounce back because it's the ending one. It should have been somewhere in the neighborhood of, say, 1.8 to 2.2 billion. Okay. So they left a ton of money.
You talking about this last movie? 1.8? Yeah, that's low, man.
Yeah.
I would say 2.3 is what they should have had.
2.2. I don't know that we live in a time and a place where Star Wars is going to bank what Marvel does.
No, but if everything was done correct, if it was on Marvel's level, which it should have been.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that this last movie should have did like 2.3 billion.
I just think it's fair to say it's going to underperform by what?
Over $1 billion, clearly.
Yeah, close to $1 billion or something like that. You know, one of the issues we got is I know so many small kids now that just don't care about Star Wars but love Marvel.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things, you know.
Why? Because Marvel's been putting out a whole lot of good movies.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You know, I tried to sell my son early on Star Wars, and he just It just didn't resonate with him. You know, he loved Harry Potter,
Your
loved it.
18-year-old?
Yeah, yeah, but
Okay.
he would have been, you know, 4 or 5 years old. You know, and we're watching the OT, and you know, just like that happened with me, and
Yeah.
we get to Empire, and Luke is meeting Yoda, and blah blah blah, and I'll never forget something that cut me to the soul was my son looking at me and said, "Dad, you like this stuff?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "It's kind of boring." I'm like,
The thing
"Okay,"
is,
you know.
here's the
And
problem, man. Here's the problem. Me and you, man, we're over 40. We're old, man. We were born in the golden age,
yeah,
the absolute golden age of Star Wars. I
well,
had so many Star Wars toys as a kid. It's insane how many toys I had. And
it's also, let us not lose sight of one thing so crucial. We had never seen technology on screen. We had never seen anything like that.
yeah,
Okay. You know, when my son's 4 or 5 years old, movies like Jurassic Park had long since been made. You know, he's born into a time. What? Let's see.
Jurassic Park came out in 93,
Okay, Phantom Menace came out in what, 98?
99.
Okay, so he was born in 99, in fact. So he was born into, look at how movies looked as he's growing up.
Yeah.
So those kids didn't get that technology. Whoa, I can't believe what I'm seeing on screen. Whereas it blew our minds, you know, we had never
Right.
seen anything like that. You
True.
know,
True.
we're used to watching Dukes of Hazzard and, you know, you know, all them shows in the
Oh,
70s.
I loved Dukes of Hazzard when I
Yeah,
was a kid, man.
I did too,
I
you
had
know.
I had the General Lee lunchbox with the battle flag of Virginia. Nobody thought it was racist then. Everybody loved Dukes of Hazzard back then, but now in woke culture now, that's racist. So you
Oh
can't
yeah.
even have the General Lee, man. But Dukes, tell them how big Dukes of Hazzard was, man. Dukes of Hazzard was
Oh my God, it was
that
huge.
was the Star Wars of TV shows.
Yeah.
Catherine
I'll
Bach as Daisy Duke, man.
I in fact, it was funny because the other day I go through these rabbit holes online, you know, I was on YouTube
Yeah.
and I stumbled across John Snyder in a re-release he did from a year ago of Just the Good Old Boys,
Yep.
where he was singing it and a bunch of country stars
Yeah.
were singing the background vocals on it. And I was like, "Oh, this is
Mm.
awesome!" You know, I don't
That's
even like country music, by the way, and
oh
I'm
man.
like, "This is
I
the
hate
greatest thing ever."
I hate country music, but I love Waylon Jennings' Good Old
Oh
Boys.
yeah, oh
That's
yeah.
one of the greatest songs ever made, man. Because of that TV show. But we're in a different era now, man. I mean, the General Lee, I mean, they actually didn't they stop airing the Dukes of Hazzard because of that? I think they did.
CMT carried it in syndication up until I think about a decade ago,
Yeah.
and then it went off air. Yeah, not to be seen again, to my knowledge.
Yeah. It sucks, man. That just sucks what they did to the reruns of Dukes of Hazzard, man. But
Fr-
eventually, man, all this is gonna have to end. All this woke stuff is gonna have to end.
well, they'll just lose so much money; it'll have to end.
Right.
Shareholders want to make money.
Yes.
Okay, that's why they're shareholders. They're in that as an investment. You know.
Right. Yes, I did. Oh, okay, wait, hold on. Sith Lord Felix, do you think the Mandalorian could have been cut into a trilogy? The way the Mandalorian is now, I don't want to see it as a movie. I think it works just fine as a TV show. Because the way they have it, you know, it's a different, it has like that old popcorn western kind of feel. Each week the cowboys in a different place. That's not going to work as a trilogy.
Kind of
It's not going to work as
episodic
a movie.
feel.
It is the
Yeah.
ultimate episodic thing. So No, I don't think it's going to work as a trilogy.
That said, are you going to see a Mandalorian movie? Yep.
Yeah, I'll watch the movie,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I don't want it to be. It can't be episodic. It's going to have to be. I think it would be really good if they gave the movie like a bit budget, like the movies, have Favreau and Filoni making it. It would be pretty damn good. It really, really would. I think it'd be really, really good. And speaking of Disney Plus, you see everybody's canceling their memberships now.
Yeah. While I'm thinking about it, Clone Wars starts on February 17th.
Yeah. Even though I think that Disney should have had more stuff come out on Disney Plus. Now, the only reason why I still have Disney Plus, I got it for a dirt cheap price for 3 years. That it would be ridiculous to actually cancel Disney Plus. And in like next year, man, you're gonna start getting more stuff. I mean, I got Disney Plus for 3 years for $140. That's super cheap. That's like $4 a month. And
Well,
I want to see the MCU stuff.
I want to acknowledge the convenience of it. The fact that I use streaming TV and Roku's anyway in my house, it's just so much easier than having to get up and essentially now I don't even have to have a Blu-ray even hooked up anymore.
Yeah.
Because I've got all my bases covered on movies I want to watch at a push of a button. There is something to convenience. And is it worth $6.99 to have the convenience of, you know what? I'm going to pop on in-game. Boom. Yeah, it is. It is. There is something to convenience.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to have to get up and fumble through, and I don't want to have all these different services. Like you had to have Netflix for some Marvel movies and you had to have Amazon for other ones and you had to have, now they're all pushed together in one place essentially and throw in other movies that I didn't even think about. Invincible with Mark Wahlberg is one of my favorite sports movies of all time.
I haven't seen it.
And I've already watched it twice. Again, I mean, I've seen it like 30 times now. But
it's on Disney Plus?
Yeah, the story of Vincent Papali from the Philadelphia
Yeah.
Eagles. I love that movie. It's got a great soundtrack too.
Cool. Yeah. Matthew Godet loves Harrison Ford here. Harrison Ford was good in Raiders of the Lost Ark and Blade Runner, a real movie star. I haven't seen the original Blade Runner.
I have, but oddly enough, it's not one of my favorite Harrison movies. It's a very slow burn.
So you actually have some bad Harrison Ford movies you don't like.
I'm not going to say bad. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. You know, Arnold Schwarzenegger is my favorite actor of all time.
Yeah.
He's in one of the worst movies ever in Batman and Robin.
Junior. He was in Junior.
Last Action Hero. Last Action Hero is not good. It's not as bad as people make it out to be, but it's still not good. And a movie that I think is underrated from him is The Sixth Day. Not great, but it's pretty good.
No, I like The Sixth Day. It's all right.
But he's had some duds, you know.
We really should do a top 10 on Arnold movies one night.
Did we do that?
No, we did action movies. We did action stars. Who's our favorite action star?
Yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say that Terminator 2 is his best action movie. Even though Commando...
Is that your favorite Arnold movie?
It's my favorite Arnold movie.
Terminator 2?
I think, no, we did an action movie ranking. I had Commando number 1. I considered Terminator kind of like a sci-fi movie. So it was in a different category. Remember, we had set strict categories for that ranking.
Yeah, we didn't want Predator seeping into the action.
We didn't want sci-fi sneaking in there.
Yeah.
But his best overall movie is T2. But Commando is my favorite one to watch from him. I mean, he's done some average budget movies that are pretty good.
Without a doubt, for me, it's Predator.
True Lies is up there too. More awesome as metal. I see it.
It's
Oh,
Predator. It's
I,
Predator for me.
I love Twins. Twins is
I
so good.
I love Twins too. Yeah, it's
They're
great.
supposed to be making triplets, I thought, but with
Eddie Murphy's in the next one, isn't he?
DeVito and Eddie Murphy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's coming. It's
Yeah.
a go. I think they're doing it.
I want to see the Conan movie he's been talking about for years, but I have a bad feeling it's gonna suck. That's the kind of movie I think could suck, and that's why I don't think we've heard much of
Right.
anything about it. And there's no Mako. He's not around anymore.
I love True Lies. Total Recall, I love. Total Recall is very underrated.
Oh, Total Recall is great.
Yeah. What's the one? Red Heat with
Red
James
Heat.
Belushi.
I love that movie.
Movies.
That is a great movie.
I need to watch that. I haven't seen it in years.
He plays Ivan Danko.
Yeah.
And he is a Russian with a German accent. Think of that.
What's your least? Let's see. We said, even Last Action Heroes grown on me more than it. I hated it when I first came out.
Oh, Terminator Darth Vader is way at the bottom too. Way at the bottom.
Yeah, I actually liked Carl a little more than you did. I think.
Nah, I didn't like Carl.
I thought Schwarzenegger was extremely likable in the movie.
Yeah, I mean he's Arnold. I mean he's gonna be likable, but it didn't fit the Terminator for me.
Running Man.
Speaking of, you got to finish Sarah Connor Chronicles, man. You got to finish that.
I know. I'm on all kinds of things right now. I'm on Sarah Connor.
You still on season 1?
Oh yeah. I've been so busy lately. This is my busiest time of the year. So
yeah. Oh, Genesis is bad too. At least Arnold was good in Genesis. He was better in Genesis than he was in Dark Fate.
You know what? I'm gonna make a hot take here. I think after having sailed the 7 seas in order to see Dark Fate one more time, I think Genesis is a better film.
You know what? I was thinking that myself.
Yeah.
And actually, you know what? Speaking of, Dark Fate comes out on digital on the 19th. And Genesis is still not good. It's not good. But Dark Fate, you know what? Dark Fate is a better made movie. I'm going to say the same thing. Rise of Skywalker is a better made movie than Last Jedi. But I have to put it at the bottom because it wrecks canon so much. I guess I can make the same case for Dark Fate. Dark Fate is a better made movie than Genesis. But destroying John Connor like that, throwing all the men out, pushing the women in, making fun of pregnancy like it's nothing. It's definitely the most woke Terminator movie ever. Actually, it's the only woke Terminator movie. And it is extremely woke. Ooh, no, I disagree, Sith Lord Phoenix. End of Days is pretty garbage. I like End of Days.
Oh, End of Days is that's the one with Gabrielle Byrne.
Gabrielle Byrne, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I like that movie.
Arnold shooting guns at the devil? Count me in.
I like that one.
Hell yeah, I saw that in the theater.
I never bought the Game of Thrones girl with Sarah Connor in Genesis. I mean, nobody really did. I mean, if you're trying to replace Linda Hamilton, you can't. And I think that's one of the things I like about Sarah Connor Chronicles. The Terminators in that TV show, they weren't trying to make them like Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator movie.
What was the name of the movie that I saw Arnold in that I liked? Okay. Aftermath. Recent movie.
Yeah, that was good.
Plane crash.
Yeah, that was a really good movie.
Best acting performance.
Nobody talks about that movie, but I was shocked at how good that movie was.
Hell of an acting performance in it. Yeah.
And that movie got it's based on a true story. And that movie got no pub at all. And Arnold, that is one of his best acting jobs, period.
It's top 5, easy, I think.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Easily. And that movie, is so good. And it doesn't have any action in it. I don't think it's more of a character driven piece. It kind of reminds me of that Jerry Butler movie, Law Abiding Citizen, in a way, but it kind of flipped around though. And Arnold, Kindergarten Cop, man, that's another great one.
Yeah,
Really good.
Aftermath is a true serious film. I
Yeah.
mean, it's built on serious circumstance. It's not an action movie at
No.
all.
Eraser was fun to watch. Eraser's another good one.
Yep,
Him
James Caan's in that.
and Vanessa Williams.
Yeah. God.
She still looks the same, man. She doesn't age.
So in other words, she still looks good.
Oh, she always is.
Woof.
Oh man. Well, I think I'm about to wrap this up now, man. Just wanted to go live just for a little bit on Monday. And Monday, you get the blues on Monday, man. So I don't want to keep Rhodes up all night either because I know he's tired and I'm super tired too. And Red Sonja. I'm trying to get off this stream and they bring up Red Sonja. I know
like
that
Red
movie.
Sonja.
I know that movie's not good, but I like watching it. I know Arnold hates it. He hates that.
Red Heat or Raw Deal? Red Heat. I don't even have to think about that.
Red Heat. Raw Deal is a bit overrated.
Raw Deal is one of his biggest stinkers.
It's kind of overrated.
Yeah.
Collateral Damage. I like that movie.
Oh, yeah. I do too. Yep.
Yeah, we're going to have to do a top 10 Arnold. Maybe next Tuesday on your show. You know what? Maybe we do that this Friday on my show.
Tomorrow night is the Empire Strikes Back watch party on my channel.
Yeah. What time are we doing it?
6:20. Well, you said we need to go earlier. Is that what you said? No, somebody come back and said it's only 2 hours. 2 hours and like 3 minutes or something. So.
Yeah, and it's probably more like an hour and 55 minutes.
Okay.
Before
we'll do 6:15.
Okay.
So.
And I'll try to. Well, I'm going to pick up my computer, so hopefully I'm there on time. So.
Okay.
Yep. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. You folks have a wonderful night wherever you are, morning, afternoon. And we'll see you tomorrow night on Rhodes live stream Empire Strikes Back watch party. Peace. We're out.
Till next time.